Hey there guys, welcome to the next short tutorial here on the channel. I wanted to make a video here and kind of go over the concept of color matching and color combos when you're making things out of duct tape. It's kind of a video I want to do for a while here, and with Duct Brand coming out with probably close to over 40 or 50 different designs of the normal ones that you typically use, not including the sports ones, it's kind of a cool way of kind of contrasting colors and kind of combining them in a way to find that perfect color combo that really goes together. So let's get started here on the tutorial. Alright, so we're going to talk about solid colors first. Now, that seems like the most logical place to start here. Now, when you're working on solid colors, you pretty much have a couple options. The first one is to go with, the two contrasting colors, ones that are exact opposite on the color wheel, and kind of go for the most, just contrast there. So, like, the perfect example of that would be using black and white here. Good color contrast, they're pretty much as far away from each other as they can possibly go on the color wheel, and that's one of the ways that you can go. another thing you can do is kind of go for just a little bit of contrast. So for example of that would be to use like two similar colors like the pastel tapes here. Now these two colors might be a little bit different on the color wheel, but they both have that pastel lightness to them, and that kind of allows it to I guess look pretty cool when you're applying them together and kind of incorporating them into ways of when you're making your wallet or your purse, whatever other creation that you're making. And I'll be talking about the pastels in a brief second here once again. So when it comes to solid colors, you do have a lot of different options, especially when you're looking at Duct Brand, because they do have probably at least 25 to 30 different colors. The most recent colors we got released were the pastels. These are the two ones here that I just showed you, the pastel blue and the pastel purple. There's also the pastel yellow and the pastel pink. And those are the four most recent ones that we've got to kind of color match and find the colors in between the ones that we had. But yeah, like I said, sometimes the easiest way to find out exactly what colors to use in a project, or find out which ones go together, is to line up all the colors that you have, all the solid colors in this case, in kind of a line like this. And if you have a bunch of them, you try to do it in 3 or 4 lines, and then kind of just pick one up and match it, kind of push it up against each other and kind of figure out which one will go well together. And that's kind of the easiest way to do that if you're looking for a good color combination for a wallet or a purse or whatever you're really trying to make out of duct tape. The easiest way to do this is to kind of line them up and then kind of compare them side by side with each other before you even start working on the project, instead of just the alternative would be to just grab a couple rolls out of your bin of duct tape or however else you store it and then just kind of go with it, which is sometimes what I do, but sometimes I try to definitely match the colors to come out with a really cool looking object. So now we're going to talk about our printed tapes. Now printed tapes, there's a lot more than the actual solid colors because they're a lot more popular. There's a ton of different combinations and different combos you can go with color tapes. The first, or different printed tapes, the first thing you can really do when you're working on a printed tape is to determine the base color of it. So some of them are a lot easier to determine than others. Let's look at this one here. This is the one exclusive to Five Below, which has the piece, the smiles, and the hearts on it. The base color of this one is white, without a doubt, because it's the background color behind all these different rainbow colors here. Each one of them is equal in the sense that they all have the same amount of color here, and then there's also always a white background around all that. So the base color for this one is white. Sometimes it's really easy to tell, sometimes it isn't. Let's take a look at this one here. This is like the new kind of a retro style rainbow piece, one that came out a little while ago. This one's a little difficult because you do have a whole bunch of different colors here, kind of swirling in different uneven and even patterns. The base color I would say for this one is probably yellow. You can see a lot of yellow in between these different swirls, and that's probably the base color which you would use for this one here. Let's take a look at the Peacock one. This one's a little bit trickier. If you look in the back, you will see kind of a dark blue, but there's also kind of like a greenish, light greenish, and blue and yellow going on in between each of the peacock eyes, quote unquote, on the design here. So you could go with kind of a bunch of different colors for this one to kind of give it that cool effect, but I would probably go with a kind of a dark blue or a yellow or definitely a light green or something along those lines. Graffiti, another difficult one. You look at the brick in the background, which is kind of the base. That's definitely kind of a white color and a gray for the brick outline, so I'd probably go with something like that. Skull and crossbow, once again, very easy to tell on this one because it's just a solid black background with a whole bunch of different skulls. Black would definitely work out well for that. Now some of the patterns that you check out actually have kind of an even amount on each side. This one's kind of a houndstooth design from a platypus tape, to give you guys an example. This one's even on both sides. It's both the even amount of black and the even amount of white. So with this one, you could typically go either black or white, or mix them together to kind of work with this design here. Now, one of my favorite color combos is to use black and white and also red. It's always been a color combo that I really like, these three colors. So since this color has, you know, black and white in it, you could just take your red and just combine this just like this, and it would look really cool with this as kind of like the part of a wallet, this for the billfold, as well as the credit card trim, and the rest being the houndstooth here. So definitely a pretty cool way of kind of combining colors with the printed designs. You do have a ton of different options with the printed designs, just because there's so many of them out in the market, and there's of course more new ones coming every month or so. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this short tutorial on color matching and color combos. One of the easiest ways I would recommend to do this is to print out a color wheel. You know, just go online, type in color wheel, pull it into a Word document, just print it out on your computer, and that'll have, you know, kind of like the opposite. You'll be able to find the opposite of every color on the rainbow, and then you can kind of just, you know, go from there. And if you don't want to do that, you want to go grab into your bin and grab a whole bunch of different tapes. Of course, you can always do that and kind of just mix and match as you go along. I prefer to do that sometimes, but like I said, occasionally I do line them all up and try to find, you know, a good color combo, because some of them, you know, they really pop when you look at some of the best color combinations. You know, kind of like a yellow with this one here would be a really cool combo, and it just kind of makes the design, I guess, as well as the actual object look that much cooler than if it was mixed with a different color, and so on and so forth. But it's really just all personal preference. Try to figure out what works for you, and I hope you guys liked the video. I'll catch you next time on the channel.